Hello again everybody, this is Gusto. This is part 2 of the survival ration series that I'm putting together, and these rations are all sent by Steve1989. Again, big thanks to Steve1989. If you watched my previous video, you'll see that I did the small food container World War II era emergency ration. And after I made that video, actually, I talked to Steve again, and he said that that was originally developed for naval use, but then was more widely distributed. So that's kind of an interesting bit of information on that one. This one, there's very little information about, and this is a food packet survival, and this is for the Royal Canadian Air Force. You can see on here the model number is AFFP3, and this is a general survival packet, and this is the food portion, and this would be packaged with the seat pack, but unfortunately there's very little information about this food item. If we look at the exterior, it's kind of this olive drab green color. It has the appearance of a Spam can style emergency ration. It actually has the pull tab for peeling the two halves apart, but there's no key and there's directions to open the other end. This does come with a P38 style can opener taped to the top and then a ring of metal wire to make a handle on this can for boiling water and preparing food items. But something you worry about with old food items is the condition of the food inside, and I get asked a lot if I've ever gotten sick off of these rations, and my answer is not yet, and that's because I use a really strict gauge of measuring the safety of these things, and that's really the eye and nose test. So when you look at something, you want to see, is it swollen, is it bulging, is it dented badly or damaged on the exterior, is it the right shape? You can kind of feel on it, you can kind of feel the pressure inside it. The food container that I reviewed previously actually had the walls of it were kind of sucked in, so you could tell that there was a good vacuum on the inside of that. This one actually has a little bit of a bulge to it, and this is a pretty stiff can, but the fact that it has a little bit of bulge to it is a little bit ominous about the condition of the food inside. Whenever you have a sealed container that has pressure inside it, that usually means that there's anaerobic metabolism of the food inside and gas production by those bacteria. The most dangerous one, of course, being Clostridium botulinum. That toxin causes botulism, and that can kill you. So I don't mess around with these things if they look bad or they smell bad or I just don't get a good feeling about it. I'm really wary about trying that stuff. So with this can being a little bit swollen and kind of feeling a little bit of pressure in there, I'm going to listen really closely to see if there's a whole bunch of gas escaping or anything like that when I open it. And if so, I'm probably going to shy away from putting any of this stuff in my mouth. I mean, I want to present these things with respect to the history of the items, but I don't want to kill myself doing it. So we'll take a closer look at this item in just a minute. You can see on here there's a set of instructions saying open carefully with the can opener provided. It talks about storing it in the plastic bag contained with the seat pack. Also talks about preparation of the can, knocking down the ragged edges after you open it with a can opener, and then using these small dots here, that's where you're supposed to punch holes on both sides to use this wire handle. It also talks about the utilization of this item, eating no food on the first day, and then making the food in the container last 3 days. So pretty small for 3 days worth of food. So this would be something that would be used only in desperate survival type situations. So there you go. As mentioned before, the authenticity of these items is indicated by the aged appearance of the materials. This tape being hardened and very brittle is a good indicator that this is an old item. The construction of the can with the Spam can style opener there, and then certainly, you know, the dates. Anyway, so let's get to opening this up. So I'm going to take this tape off of here so I have access to the top to get it opened up. Here's the metal ring to make the handle. This is the can opener that comes with it. This is a little bit longer than a P38, actually to give you a little bit more leverage. It's very similar actually to the Fred that you find in Australian rations, except it doesn't have the spoon on the bottom. It feels a lot like that in the hand. So let's open this thing up. Just a little bit of air escaping there. Not a big loud hiss or anything like that. Less pressure than I thought it would be considering the state of the can. Not a horrible scent coming out of it. Oh, there you go. Okay, so there's the instruction sheet, and you can see it is just saturated with kind of a sticky residue. So there's no way to get that out. It is really stuck to the inside of the can lid. It'll just rip it apart by pulling that off. At any rate, it's the same instructions that are on this side of the can and this side of the can. So after opening this up, giving it a second to sit open, I am kind of picking up kind of a sharp, sour, probably rotten odor. So it's very unlikely that I'm going to feel comfortable trying any of this stuff, but I'm going to open it up and show you all the contents. So again, here it is, and there's 2 pieces of fruit cake right here. They're very sticky and they're in a plastic wrapper. Take a closer look at that in a second, but we got to get these jelly bars out first. Nothing will just slide out, so I'm going to try to pry some of these out. Yeah, these are actually still pretty soft. Everything is stuck together in there. Okay, there's that, and then there's 2 pieces of fruit cake. You can kind of hear how they're stuck to the inside of the can there, you can see. They've just liquefied and stuck everything together in there. And the further you get into this, the more foul the smell is. It is certainly kind of a rotten smell. I would describe that like a badly fermented and rotten fruit scent. It is just really gross. There is a salt packet. Peeling back more layers of foil packages here. You can see that there's some sugar cubes and more jelly bars underneath there. And I think these are coffee packets. Okay, there is coffee. It's actually powdered. Huh. There's another one. This one is hard and all in a solid wafer. You can hear it breaking in here. So that will be no good. There's sugar cubes, and this is solid. It hasn't liquefied or anything like that. This one stuck to a jelly bar. This is pretty soft. More jelly bars in there. Packet of chicken soup. Again, it's pretty hard and kind of feels like a wafer inside that foil. There's another chicken soup. And stuck way down in there. I can't get that out. Work on that in a minute. And there's another coffee, and again, this one's all solid. So that'll be no good. Everything in here is just completely adherent to the walls of the container by those fruit cakes. These are water purification tablets. There's 10 of those. This is a bag of candy coated chocolate. These are called Smarties. There's some more jelly bars. So in total, there's 13 of them. 2 more sugar cubes, and they're saturated again with that fermented fruit liquid. And then the last thing out of the can, stuck to the sides of the can. That's really stuck. There we go. And it's pulling itself open. There's another foil container of chicken soup, and you can see there's the chicken soup powder as it's pulled itself open. So again, no good there. So there's the inside of the can. You can see everything that's leaked out in there, and that stuff stinks. Again, it smells like just rotten fruit. There's a rotten pumpkin on my front doorstep from Halloween. It kind of smells like that, but maybe a little bit sweeter. It's really funky. So like I mentioned before, just the eye and nose test for this ration is completely off, and I won't attempt to eat any of this stuff. It'd be just too dangerous by far. Just on the general appearance, everything is saturated with that kind of brown goo, and that's most likely coming out of those fruit cakes as they've fermented and spoiled over time, and they've kind of partially liquefied and then saturated all the rest of the contents with that brown nastiness. So in general, this is kind of an archaeological dig. This is an extremely rare ration, very little information about it. So just getting to open it and see the contents is pretty interesting to me, and I hope you enjoy this. But but I certainly won't be trying any of this stuff. In general, if you look at the contents, there's a lot of simple sugars to kind of give you quick energy, and then as far as the protein and the fat content of the chicken soup, that would kind of give you a little bit of a longer burn, but this certainly isn't made for meeting any long-term nutritional needs. This is strictly for survival situation only. And real quick, I will demonstrate how to make the holes and then attach the handle. Just kind of attach your can opener right there, the opposite direction as before for opening the can, and just punch a hole on both sides. You take your wire, put it in there, you bend that over. Same way on this one. And bend it over. Then if you're using this can as a cooking vessel, you don't have to grab the hot sides of the can, you can just use the handle, protect your hands. So that's the intent for that wire. So altogether, pretty interesting ration. Back at the time of production, it would have been very functional, would have sustained somebody for a couple of days, but at this point, it's completely non-salvageable. But again, very interesting stuff, and I appreciate Steve1989 for sending me this and giving me the opportunity to take a look into it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and like I mentioned before, this is a second in a 3-part series of Canadian survival rations, so I will be coming back to you very shortly with a modern-day Canadian military survival ration. So as always, thank you to the viewers and subscribers on YouTube, as well as the ration review community on YouTube and MREinfo.com. As I always mention, your support directly benefits St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, so I greatly appreciate your continued support. So please stay tuned for the rest of this series, and then much more content that's forthcoming. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.